guys, I'm back with another devlog, and today's video is about making and implementing music for my indie game. But the problem is, I know close to nothing about music theory. We had a music theory class in elementary school, which I failed and got a 50 points out of 100 because I slept through the entire class. But still, I had to make my own music because I didn't want to use some copyright-free soundtrack for my game. So I'll first be talking about my music making process and how I make music as an amateur who failed music theory class. Then I'll talk about the coding process and how I've implemented a BGM system in my game. First, how did I make the music? I'll be sharing my insanely amateur and awkward way of making tracks for my game. So the program I used is Logic Pro X, which can be found in the App Store for Apple computers, just because that was the first app I found online. I know there are a lot of other great options that work on Windows and other operating systems too, so feel free to leave recommendations in the comments. My first challenge was making the chords, and this is the music theory part that I couldn't really avoid. YouTube tutorials work well for me, and since my goal was to set the mood without making super complex music, I settled with a few simple tutorials and started experimenting. And since I don't have the notes for each scale and the chords memorized, I just search things like B minor scale chords on the internet, and it gives me a huge list, so I just pick a combination that sounds good to me. After I get the chords done, I think of a melody and just type it into the software, which does its thing, whatever it is. But my biggest challenge was layering different instruments to get an atmosphere, so I looked into some songs on the internet, took notes of some instruments I liked, and layered them so that I get a balance of low and high pitches. And after that, it was just a process of making a track, thinking it's fire, showing it to my family just for them to tell me it's mid, fixing it, showing it off again, and repeat. Okay, let me show you a few tracks and my intentions behind them. Please leave some feedback in the comments if you have any. I'd appreciate it from anyone. I really need some new perspectives. My goal for the tracks were to make it catchy but not a dominating presence. My game is not a rhythm game and I didn't want the music to be overbearing. I wanted it to kind of fade into the background sometimes but still be part of the experience, if you get what I mean. Anyway, the first track was made for a snowy and restless town with a lot of digital and technological elements to it. Here's the scene. I tried to use short notes to make it feel more restless and used instruments that sounded synthetic to make it sound modern. But I'm a bit concerned about the sudden use of string instruments and the very last part where the mood kind of shifts, because it might feel distracting and sudden to the players. For the second track, I went for a calming elevator music style track. This was for a puzzle room. Let me show you the scene. My concern for this one is that it sounds too much like Christmas, and it doesn't really fit the scene in my opinion. I'm seriously reconsidering using this for some scenes that are more festive and making a new track for the puzzle, this time more modern and digital feeling. I'll be coming back with more tracks soon, but these two are quite significant in the game as of now. I still need a lot more practice, and I'd appreciate tips from other game devs or people experienced in music. Anyway, now we got some music, let's move on to the code. I wrote a music player script which could be preserved across all scenes and play the designated background music, and the change music script that will, change the music when appropriate. For the music player, I had considered having the music player for each scene with a static variable that indicates which music was playing in the scene before, and a public variable assigned to each music player that tells which music must be played next. But that had a lot of problems, including how the music will be cut and replayed when I re-enter a scene, and how I would have to add a music player to each scene and assign a number to each song and assign each of the public variables. Phew, not that one. So I decided to use don't destroy on loads, so that the game object persists across the scenes. This makes sure that if I had to play the same music across two different scenes, the music continues smoothly, and I just tapped out the music player object to one scene and it will persist from then on. One challenge was looping the music. It sounds kind of silly, but when I looped the track, it would have a slight delay between each loop. And after surfing the internet for quite a while, I found out that using a WAV file instead of an MP3 file solved the problem. And it worked. So I'm including this part in the video just in case someone else has the same struggle, so that you hopefully won't have to spend an hour on the internet to fix a problem like me. Anyway, now I have music that loops and changes. This was a big step for me, as music is often a huge component in setting the mood. I love the music in Stardew Valley especially, which often seems to fade into the background, but without the music, the experience wouldn't just be the same. This is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Leaving a like and subscribing to my channel would also be a huge support for me to continue this project. I'll come back next time with a video about creating a battle system. Thank you!